Are you exhausted from trying everything to lose weight, only to step on the scale and see nothing change? Or maybe you do lose weight, but as soon as you return to your old habits, it comes back, leaving you stuck in a frustrating cycle of temporary results that never last. You might be someone dealing with constant cravings, low energy, and that overwhelming feeling that your body is working against you instead of with you. If that sounds familiar, then this episode is for you, because today's guest is here to give you the clarity you've been missing. You don't need more diets, more restrictions, or more guilt. You need to understand what really works. She's going to break down exactly why your current approach to weight loss isn't sustainable and what's really happening inside your body. Most importantly, she'll show you what you need to do to finally take back control. This conversation will give you clarity, direction, and the tools to lose weight in a way that's sustainable, healthy, and empowering, so you can feel stronger, more energized, and confident in your body again. I'm Shaila. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you understand weight loss. Welcome back to the Health Diary podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by a very special guest, someone I deeply respect and also a dear friend. She has helped hundreds of women lose weight, build strength, and completely transform their health and their confidence. She's a qualified personal trainer and a women's health specialist with a focus on perimenopause and menopause, supporting women through the hormonal and metabolic changes that can make weight loss feel frustrating and confusing. She's previously ran her own private training studio in England, creating a safe and empowering space where women didn't just change their bodies, but rebuilt their confidence and their relationship with themselves. Her work focuses on muscle building, metabolic health, hormonal balance, and sustainable nutrition, blending evidence-based science and holistic approaches, including principles from Ayurveda and Chinese medicine. She's also currently training as a naturopathic nutritionist, continuing to deepen her already powerful approach. She's a mother of 4, widely respected in the field of women's health, and is truly passionate about helping women achieve lasting, sustainable results without restriction or extremes. It's an absolute honor to have her here today. Please join me in welcoming the incredible Farzana Walji-Hooda.
Hi, Shaila. Thank you so much for such a warm and generous introduction. It's so lovely to be here, and I'm super excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Farzana, for taking your time out to be here. It's such an honor to have you on the show. So I have a feeling today's conversation is going to change the way so many people, myself included, think about food and weight loss. I'm really excited to dive in.
Likewise, super excited and totally honored to be here. So thank you.
Amazing. So Farzana, why are so many intelligent, capable women or people struggling to lose weight and keep it off? And why do you think obesity is on the increase?
Yeah, I mean, such a great question. Obesity is on the rise, and so many intelligent people are really struggling to lose weight, and it's not lack of knowledge. I'll give you 3 examples of 3 different types of women. You've got the first woman who is, executive lady doing exceptionally well at work. She's thriving. She's, organized. But she's running out of the door at 5 a.m. She's running on very little sleep. She's starting her day with, a black coffee and skipping breakfast. And by the evening, she's grabbing whatever she can. By the evening, she's exhausted and famished, and then just eating, whatever she can find. And then you've got the other woman who is, and I'm sure we can all relate to one of these. You've got the other woman who's looking after everyone else but herself. She's taking care of the kids. She's, dropping the kids at school and taking care of the young ones. She's cooking, she's cleaning, she's trying to run her own business. And, she's, eating the scraps that are left behind from the day, from the kids and, you know, all the rest. And then by evening, she's just absolutely shattered. And then you've got the third type who are, you know, she's trying her absolute best. She's going to the gym, she's cutting carbs, she's cutting calories, she's doing everything she can to lose weight. But by the end of the week, she's so exhausted that, you know, she's just gone off track. And so she's, and then it starts, you know, from square one again. And it's not lack of, you know, trying. It's all these women are undernourished, they are overstressed, they're underslept, and they're just running on empty. So, you know, like a battery, if you're on 10%, you're not going to be able to, your body's not going to be, you know, able to run efficiently. So it's all about finding the right tools and fitting it in within your own, you know, your lifestyle.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that there's so many external factors that are coming into life, and the more external factors that come in, so children, marriage, work, they become a priority, and you just get kind of overlooked, and weight loss becomes overlooked. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
that can be a barrier.
Absolutely. I mean, we're in a society where, you know, busy is like is an honorable thing, when in fact we need to really take a step back and go back to basics. It's not about doing more. Sometimes it's about doing less, taking a step back, and having the right support and the right nourishment for your body.
Okay. So having helped thousands of women, what actually works when it comes to sustainable weight loss for women? Like, what do you think, in your opinion?
So, I mean, I always say consistency is your superpower. I have, so the emoji, you know, the superpower lady is number one on my phone, because that's one thing I keep saying to my clients, you know, consistency.
Yeah.
And small, simple, basic things. You know, we're not doing the basic stuff.
Okay.
We're trying to add in supplements. We're trying to add in, you know, this new food and that new food, but we're not sticking to the key things like, you know, eating more protein, having a bit more movement in our day.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of us have sedentary lives where we're sat at our desks, you know, working away. And sometimes some of my clients come to me and they're doing 1,000, 2,000 steps a day. And so really it's going back to those basics and being consistent at, you know, start with one thing, you know, really master it, and then start off with, you know, then build on that, do another, and then build on that, do another.
So do you think that's what we're getting wrong? Do you think there's too much information out there and people are trying to kind of run before they walk? That's
the thing. Like, it's not lack of knowledge.
Yes.
We have so much information out there. I think information overload, and people are getting so, you know, confused with what to do. Is it low carb, keto, intermittent fasting? You know, they're trying the next diet. Now there's, you know, GLP drugs to.
Yeah. There's so much information, isn't it? It's so much. It's so confusing. So, what's actually happening inside the body? So, when someone feels like they're doing everything right, but they're not losing weight, well, what's going on inside the body? What would you say?
So often, you know, women, we think we're doing all the right things, but we're not doing the right things for our body. And every single body is different. A doctor can't tell you, oh, this is how you should feel after taking this medicine, for example, because everyone reacts differently. I can't give you a prescriptive, you know, meal plan for 10 different people, because every body is different.
Yeah.
So it's looking at your own body and your own needs and seeing what can I do and what can I do that fits in with my lifestyle. You know, I've got clients who historically were, you know, their whole days are spent meal prepping and exercising, and yes, they lose weight, but it's not sustainable. You know,
why is that not sustainable?
You've got to be able to fit in, you know, meal prepping and exercise and you know, healthy living within your lifestyle. There's no point. There's very few people who can carry on that for a full-time job, essentially.
So you're saying that's not sustainable, like the meal prepping and that
Meal prepping is, I'm a real advocate for that. Okay. Definitely. And it's about, you know, finding things within your day that you can do easily. For example, you don't have to spend 10 hours meal prepping for the week. You can see what's easy to do. Perhaps I can boil some eggs, you know, in the evening for breakfast or for lunches. Or like I always in my house, we've always got stuff that you can just assemble. For example, I've always got some mixed leaves, some spinach, some cut up vegetables. So when the children come home, they can just easily, grab that. There's always fruit or, some nuts and seeds. So I've created my environment to enable me to eat healthier, to live healthier. Yeah. And when you're in that environment, if you have lots of chocolate, lots of sweets, lots of crisps, of course, I would eat that. You're bound to eat that.
And how much does food contribute to weight loss? I know on my previous episode, I talked about exercise, and research shows that exercise actually doesn't contribute that much to weight management. It's more, the cardiovascular side. But when it comes to our food, how much does food contribute to weight management and weight loss?
I mean, massively. Yeah. Food is medicine. Food is everything. If you wouldn't. I always use this analogy to people who love cars, for example. You wouldn't put the worst fuel into your Maserati or your Porsche or whatever a beautiful car is. You would really treat it with respect and put the best. Your body's a temple, the super
right?
fuel absolutely. But when it comes to ourselves, like how many of us go for our yearly MOT? How many of us truly spend or invest in our health? And health is wealth. Without health, you have absolutely nothing. You can't work. You're not good for anyone. It's a real, you can't do anything.
Yeah. So you've said, obviously, lifestyle factors play a massive part in weight management and understanding weight. And then time, it's important to have time for meal preps and understanding foods, which will come on later about what foods we can have. And then we're talking about that understanding and accepting that that food actually plays a massive part in weight management. I think that's really, really important for people to understand that. What about hormones? What are hormones doing to us in the body, especially women? And we hear about cortisol. What is cortisol and what's it doing to us?
Okay, so cortisol is the stress hormone. So it's what gets us up in the morning. It's what makes us have that urgency to do some work or just gets us going. So everyone needs cortisol. However, when our cortisol rises too much, our body is then going into fight or flight mode. So we crave more sugary foods. We can't sleep as well, and that again then affects the way we eat. It puts you in a very unstable state. Yeah. So you want to make sure your cortisol is fairly balanced throughout the day, and that's through eating a balanced diet of proteins, carbohydrates, fats that are going to nourish yourself and keep you grounded and actually keep that cortisol at a level that it should be, rather than going through those spikes up and down. And stress management is a huge thing I focus on with my clients, especially for women, because as soon as we wake up in the morning, we're rushing to take the kids to school, and then we're rushing to work, and then we're rushing to pick them up, and we're constantly in that fight or flight state, which is not good for anyone. And then that massively affects your food choices.
So does the cortisol affect weight loss resistance, and does it contribute to weight loss? Is it causing weight loss resistance?
Definitely. I mean, for an example, where before we were moving, obviously life was quite stressful with trying to move country and sort our house out, etc., etc. And I honestly felt that I was bloated, I was uncomfortable, I didn't feel good at all, and yet my food hadn't changed. I was still eating very healthy. I was eating, all the right foods, and yet this bloat was just not going. And as soon as the stress, was calmed and I was in a much calmer state, suddenly that bloat around my tummy had just, it had gone. So, and I'm sure that many of the listeners will remember times where they are super stressed. And even anxiety about their weight. When you're trying so hard to lose weight, often that's the hindrance. That's when you can't lose weight, because the stress you're holding on to is blocking. Yeah.
Do you know, that's so interesting, and I can relate to that. Since I'm a bit like you, I've recently moved to Qatar, and it's stressful, moving everything. But as soon as I got here, I've had 2 surgeries. I've been so unwell. And my weight was just not going, and I was frustrated. I'm running, I'm eating my protein, I'm trying, but it just wasn't coming off. But as soon as I was in the all clear from my doctor and I didn't need to have any more surgery and I'm okay, I lost 3 kilograms.
That's it.
And I'm like, wow. And that just makes sense what you've said, that stress and cortisol plays a factor.
Massively. I mean, it's the inflammation in your body, and your body is holding, because your body's in a stress state. So it feels like it needs to hold on to everything. So definitely when you're calm, and that's why I say to my clients, start the day as you mean to go on. Try and wake up half an hour before the children, have that time to yourself.
Yes.
And that is an absolute game changer. If you
Yeah.
can allow yourself that time in the morning just to calm yourself, open a window, go outside for a few minutes, hear the birds sing, immediately that vision just makes you feel calm.
Yeah.
If you're waking up and immediately, screaming at the kids, wake up, we're late, so you're rushing out the doors, they forget their PE kit, and then you're stressing about that, like that's not a good way to start the day.
Okay, so to the listener, if they're trying to lose weight, make sure it's not a stressful environment or in a stressful situation. Don't stress about meal preps and make sure external factors are managed, and that will contribute to better weight management. That's what you're saying. Yeah.
Go back to basics.
Go back to basics,
and simplify it. It's not complicated. Simplify weight loss.
Yes.
Make it simple for yourself. A protein, a fat, and a carb. Don't overthink things. Get a bit more movement in. Start the day as you mean to go on. It's not rocket science, but we make things so complicated with needing to do this diet and that diet and cutting out this and cutting out that.
Okay.
A better way that I like to look at it is, what can we add to our day to make it more nourishing? What can I add to my meals to make them more, fulfilling? And so immediately that, the negative response becomes a positive one. And, reframe always. What can I do to make this better, rather than what can I remove? Even changing that narrative makes you feel more positive.
Yeah. So as a woman, as you know, our cycles play a massive part in it. I think it's so easy for men because they're just constant, aren't they? So what my husband does for weight loss and management, like I don't think I can do the same. Like it doesn't work for me because of our cycle. So that kind of week before, your period and your menstrual cycle, like for me particularly, you're just craving, aren't you? You want to have the carbs. How does that affect weight management really? And is it okay to up your calories at that point? How can we manage those cravings?
It's so funny you say that about the men, because when I was discussing this with my husband and he was saying, oh, it's simple, it's calories in, calories out. And actually for a woman, it's not. We have so many different factors that come into play, our hormones, our environment, our, how much we're sleeping. The great thing about women is that, generally most women know when their cycle is coming. So by tracking your cycle and tracking how you're feeling before your cycle and during and after, you can better manage those cravings. So don't resist everything. Our body naturally needs a couple hundred more calories.
Yeah, is
anyway.
that true? And why do we get the cravings then? What's happening to the body?
So our body is going through lots of hormonal changes. So instead of stressing about this, honor it with good, magnesium-rich foods, which are going to settle your nervous system. It's going to help massively with your, cognitive function.
What about chocolate then?
So dark chocolate is actually fantastic. So magnesium-rich foods would be. So I like to always have, especially before time of the month, is to have an energy balls just stocked in the fridge. So if you do have those cravings and sugar fixes, and I know I've got something healthy to hand, so I've got energy balls, and I think I made these for you once.
Yeah, they were amazing. They were so good in Ramadan. Thank you so much.
But they've got cacao, they've got nuts, so that's full of magnesium. Bit of sea salt, so you've got the saltiness as well, and then dates are full of energy and full of vitamins and minerals. So instead of going for the crisps or the high sugar laden chocolate, like choose things which are going to nourish yourself. I always say to my clients, like, think about whatever you put in your mouth, ask yourself, is this going to nourish me? Is this going to make me feel good? Because, we're all after dopamine hits and, quick fixes, but actually, in the long term, it's not going to serve you well.
So when it comes to food, what are the key principles people should focus on for sustainable weight loss?
So I always say focus on protein and fiber to start your meals, which is going to really help with your gut health as well. Okay. So protein is very satiating. Carbohydrates, they won't fill you up for very long. But even eating protein, it takes a long time to chew and eat. So your digestive juices are already working in your mouth. Carbohydrates, you're going to get, a quick fix. And carbohydrates, of course, include them in your diet. But, focus on the protein and the fiber.
So carbohydrates, I thought carbohydrates give you energy.
They absolutely give you energy. That's why I'm saying do not cut them out.
Okay.
But you want to choose carbohydrate sources that are going to, wholesome. So whole wheat pasta, whole whole grains, whole grain
So these are the
sourdough,
carbohydrates we need to focus on. So whole grain pastas, lentils, okay,
beans, not the white breads and the white pasta and the white things which are going to give you quick fixes.
Why should we not have those?
Because your blood sugars are going to be up and down. What you want is that stable energy.
Okay.
So if you're eating 3 good meals with your protein, fats, and carbohydrates with your fiber, you're going to be better, have better energy levels. And this is a key factor for women, actually, because we're so busy with our children or work and, and our hormones, we want to keep them on a stable.
So the goal is to achieve sustainable blood sugars, you said?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And we get that with the protein and the fiber. And if our gut health is optimum, that will help with weight loss and that will make us feel good. I totally agree with that, because when your gut is not right, you feel crappy. And then when you feel crappy, like you said, your cortisol is going to go high and then you're not going to lose weight. And then you get stuck in this rut, don't you? So fiber. So what's an example of a really good fiber that, the listener could have?
So a really simple thing I would do actually to make sure your gut is working efficiently is actually, have some chia seeds, water. I was telling all my clients to do this in the month of Ramadan as well.
You told us a lot, yeah, and I swear by it. I'm so glad you told me this.
Because, chia seeds, when they swell up, they cause a gel in your stomach, so everything comes out nicely.
Yeah.
But also they're full of omega-3, so they're going to be great for your brain health. And it's just an easy thing to do. Put some lemon in there so you're getting hydration and your electrolytes, a bit of sea salt, and it's going to hydrate you. So a lot of people don't like drinking plain water, but it's just this is just one simple thing that you can add without, much thinking. So just soak your chia seeds night before or first thing in the morning and just sip that, water throughout the day.
Amazing. So what are the most underrated foods or habits that actually support fat loss?
Oh gosh, it's I think it's a combination of things. Sometimes you often look at some people and be like, oh, how come they're so slim and they can eat whatever they want? But actually, if you dig deeper and look at them, they might be fidgeting a lot, or they might move a lot, or they're not just sitting around, they're moving. So keeping your metabolism fired up by going for that morning walk in the morning, just setting the tone for the day, focusing on simple proteins, fiber and carbohydrates. I know I keep going back to the same things, but really it is focusing on those basic things.
So we want to focus on losing fat, don't we? That's the weight we want to try and lose. That's why we need to up our protein. And as a physiotherapist, I'm aware that, you do lose a lot of muscle mass after the age of 35. So is that why as well, more importantly, after 35, you need to up your protein? Because protein is so important for muscle health, but other things like weight loss abilities and that sort of thing.
So protein's not going to help you lose weight per se. It's all about your balanced diet and being in a slight calorie deficit, which is what's going to help you drive that weight loss. But going back to the stress management, if we're highly stressed and holding on to lots of cortisol, then our body's not going to be able to metabolize properly. It's not going to be able to lose that fat. So calming yourself, speaking to yourself kindly, respecting your body. We're so blessed to have a healthy body. So respect it, eat good, healthy, unprocessed food. Your body's not going to be able to break down. You might have 2 diets, 1,500 calories of Skittles and chips and, all the rest. Or you could have 1,600 calories of, real wholesome, good food. But you're going to look better, feel better, and be able to lose weight much easier with the healthy diet, rather than, it's not just about calories, it's about the quality of your food as well.
So Farzana, you mentioned, I love that word, balanced. So what does a well-balanced diet look like in your opinion in a day? Like what does that look like for you?
So I would skip out all the snacking.
Okay.
So I'm not a lover of snacks, even in between foods.
Even healthy snacks?
So if you're eating 3 good meals, there shouldn't be a need to snack. I think it's a cultural thing as well. Back in the day, we didn't have, people didn't have snacks. They would eat 3 good meals or 2 good meals, and they would be good, and even that after that evening meal, try not to eat anything because you want your body to go into that rest and digest mode. So a simple way even to look at your meals is to, handful of salad or steamed vegetables. I prefer the steamed vegetables because I find it's easier to break down in your stomach. A fistful of carbs, and then a palmful of protein. So that it just makes it simple. Like, you don't need to weigh anything. You don't need to count anything. Just use your hand and use that as a guide.
Okay. I remember you telling me something as well, which really stuck with me. I think you said about your food looking colourful. So is that a good tip?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean...
And why is that a good tip? Explain that to the person listening.
Well, colour immediately just makes you feel good anyway.
Yeah.
And then the more colours and variety you have on your plate, the more your gut is going to thank you for it. So you want to try and include as many colours as you can. I feel it just makes you happier as well. And you're filling your body with antioxidants.
Yeah.
So this is going to ward off illnesses. You won't get sick so often. And this is the key. Like, we want to be, there's no point being slim, but being really unhealthy. You want to be strong, healthy, and be full of energy. This is the thing.
So the key is not being skinny, is it? It's about being healthy. So I think that's really an important message for someone who's listening, that we're not here about being skinny. We're about losing the right weight, retaining the right muscle mass, that sort of thing, and feeling strong. That's the message here, isn't it?
Definitely. I think, when we were younger, I know maybe you can relate, but it was all about being slim. We all just wanted to be slim. Mm-hmm. And then as you grow older, you have children and you realize, actually, I want to be strong. I want to have energy, and I want to feel good within myself. And that comes through having amazing metabolic health, being strong through your weight training, and building muscle, because as we age, our muscle deteriorates, our bone health deteriorates. And so many people think that it's just a given to have like hip fractures or bone, breakages when you're older, but it's absolutely not.
Okay, so someone who doesn't really understand, what protein means and fiber and all these fancy words, something that they can definitely look at is when they make a meal. It's not just all beige or it's not just all white. It's actually a colourful plate, and that is then an inkling that they're eating a healthy meal. So that's something that they could look at. I love that.
I mean, my best friend in England, she always jokes, because when I send on my group that I have, my coaching group, I send a colourful bowl and I said, include lots of colours in your thing. And then she reverted back with a joke bowl, but she wouldn't eat like this, but with a bowl of yogurt with loads of Skittles. And she's like, I've added loads of colour. So that is not the purpose, but yeah.
Okay, so we want colour, but we don't want sweets and sugar. No. Yeah, we want colour through vegetables, fruits, and salads. Unprocessed foods. Okay, so there's so much confusion about diets, and what's your honest take on popular approaches like Slimming World or Weight Watchers or keto, intermittent fasting, or these juice-based diets? And is there ever a place for them?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not a lover of them at all, because they don't teach you the key principles about how to nourish your body and how to eat healthy. Especially Slimming World, it talks about sins, food being sins, and already there's that negative talk about food. Of course, they are good in that people have definitely lost weight, and it's a good starting point, but it can cause behavioral issues as well. People can get obsessed about counting and weighing, and it's not sustainable. Like when you're out in a restaurant, you don't want to be, thinking about counting and constantly thinking about food. It's all about using the tools, about good, healthy food, how to eat. And I'm all about educating people to eat better rather than, fixated on
I think that's a really important thing that you said about obsessing with counting. There was one point where I was obsessing counting calories, and I was on an app, MyFitnessPal, and counting calories. And it did help me lose a little bit of weight. But I agree, like the obsession, and then that might spike your cortisol, and then we don't want the stress. So so it's removing that obsession, isn't it? And enjoying food and having it through lifestyle. Is that what you're saying?
Definitely. I mean, they have their place, but definitely it's all about sustainability. You don't want to yo-yo. I know so many people who have lost lots of weight, but then put on twice the amount since after they start eating properly. Because also if you're cutting out, for example, carbohydrates from your diet, the moment you introduce them, you are going to have a bit of inflammation in your body. Your body might put on a few pounds, but it's just inflammation. And this is where women really stress out. They're like, oh my goodness, I put on 3 pounds today, but it's impossible to put on 3 pounds of fat overnight. And that's the key. And it's trusting the process and knowing that, you know, by eating healthy, good meals, you will lose weight. You just have to trust the process.
So what you're saying is that food should be like a routine, a sustainable routine, and not something that we should kind of do for a short term and then go back to eating old habits. Because if we go on like a juice-based diet, as soon as we introduce the carbs again, or as soon as we start eating normal, we're just going to put the weight back on. So it's not retained, it's not sustained, and it's not consistent. So that's the message here, isn't it, to someone who's listening?
Absolutely. It has to be sustainable and it has to fit in with your lifestyle. And it is a lifestyle change. It's about creating your environment so that you are able to live better, eat healthier, you know, lay out your gym kit the night before. So it's a prompt to actually go for that walk or go to the gym, you know, have healthy food in the house so that your environment is such that, you know, that is what you're eating in your home. You know, have lots of plants to detoxify your home, like create a beautiful environment, like declutter your spaces so that your mind is clear, so that you can think properly. You know, it's completely a lifestyle change.
And don't buy it. I love that, because I'm not going to buy things that, you know, I mean, we all love chocolate. We all love to create. We all love like crisps and things, but I won't buy it because if it's there, I'll have it.
Definitely, me too.
Yeah. So
I love chocolate.
That's what we need to do. We need to make sure that what you're saying is when you're shopping or going for your food shop, making sure that your food's colourful, it's full of fibre, protein, and park the snacks, you know, until,
definitely,
you know,
be intentional. And that doesn't mean that, you know, you have to cut out everything. Of course, we have you know, cake. I just made a very gluttonous cake for my husband's birthday just recently. And people were asking me, oh, is it sugar-free? Is it low fat? Is it? And I said, no, absolutely not. It's got everything in it. But it's an occasional treat. You know, it's not something that we eat every day, but it's something that everyone loves and we'll have it, you know, once a year or whatever. So enjoy it. And that's the key, not having guilt with food. A lot of women, you know, obsess after they've eaten or they feel so guilty. And again, that's causing that stress in the brain. Whatever you eat, sit down, savor it, enjoy it, and move on.
So to the woman listening, or, you know, someone who's really struggling with weight management, you know, they eat all the wrong foods, their foods are beige, they keep snacking, they constantly feel low, they're in this cycle. If they start to break that cycle and they, you know, do a healthy food shop, they buy colourful foods, you know, they're not snacking, how long do you think it would take to actually see results? And what results are we after? Obviously, weight loss is the result, but what about other things?
Gosh, within a few days, I think people would, even a day or two, you'll start to feel the benefits of it. You know, initially, if you overhaul your diet and you're used to eating a lot of processed foods, you might have a couple of days of withdrawal symptoms, and those first 2 days might be, you know, really tough, but it's trusting again that, you know, you will pass that phase. And then believe me, you know, a lot of my clients who have started like this and now they write to me and they're like, Farzana, I can't believe how amazing I feel. I can't even imagine my old life the way that I used to be, because when you start to feel amazing, you don't want to go back to how you used to feel, and you don't actually know how amazing you can feel unless you try it. You know, often I look at people and I think, how are they not getting stomach aches after they're eating that kind of food, or they just seem fine to eat junk food every single day. But once they start eating well and they feel the benefits of more energy, better skin, you know, better bowels, sleeping better, just glowing, you don't want to go back to.
So it's everything, isn't it? If we start eating well, it'll be shown on our face, it'll be shown in our body, it'll be shown in our mood. So it's so important, isn't it? What's your view on intermittent fasting? What do you think about that?
So I definitely think it has a place, and I really believe in the overnight fasting. So from, you know, not having anything after dinner, or if you're eating dinner very, very early, then maybe having a small snack in the evening, and then fasting throughout the evening, and then having a small meal in the morning. I think that's fantastic because your body needs that rest and digest phase. For a lot of women who are highly stressed, highly strung individuals, I would say don't fast for too long.
Okay.
So a lot of people fast until midday or past that. And actually, again, you're putting a lot of stress on your body. So it completely depends on the individual. So for men, actually, it can work wonders.
Yes.
And my cousin, he fasts a lot. So he does 18-hour fast quite regularly. Sometimes he might do, 24-hour, 36 hours. But I think it's very individual. You have to see how you feel respond. And how you're responding. If you're, not doing well with it, it's not suiting you.
Okay. I think that's so true. So my husband likes to fast. If he's had a takeout the night before, he won't eat for the rest of the day the next day. And for me, I've tried intermittent fasting, and initially it worked so well. But then when I did it for more than, say, 2 weeks, my body just didn't lose any more weight, and I started to feel stressed.
Yeah.
And you're so right in what you're saying. So I think sometimes it's okay, but it's not sustainable. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
or depending on.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Some people, but I think the 12-hour fast overnight is not too much.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So Farzana, let's make this a little bit practical. So I've bought a plate, and on the table there's some food choices here. So you tell me, what would you put in this plate for a perfect breakfast meal?
Okay, so I'm going to assume it's a weekend where we have a bit more time. And I always, advise people to have a savory breakfast because you don't want to spike your blood sugars first thing in the morning. And I think a breakfast is great because a lot of people don't know what to eat for breakfast. They're okay with the lunch and dinner, but breakfast is something that a lot of people struggle with. So I would say, again, going back to the principles of protein, fat, carbohydrate, we're going to put some boiled eggs on there. You can pre-cook these the night before. Let's add some smoked salmon just to add more protein, because 2 eggs is actually not enough protein. You want to have a bit more than that. Broccoli. So I always like to have some
broccoli
greens.
For breakfast.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Can you imagine the person listening? Broccoli for breakfast. Have you heard that, guys?
I always do this. I always have to have some vegetable in the morning. Definitely.
I love that. It's a proper game changer now, isn't it? Broccoli for breakfast. I'm going to remember that.
For sure. So you want some green. So that's great. I'm going to add some carbohydrates. Let's add some sourdough because I absolutely love sourdough.
I love sourdough. Yeah.
Or you could add, there's chapati here. Homemade chapati would be fantastic.
Yeah. So chapati's healthy then?
Of course.
Yeah.
They're just flour, water, and salt and a bit of olive oil.
Yeah. So I guess it depends what you have it with, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or how much fat you put on it.
Yeah.
We'll put some nuts. Yeah. So let's add some, healthy fats to our plate. So I think that looks like a really good, nourishing plate. And that's going to fill you up for quite some time.
Wow.
Until lunchtime, you're good to go. Instead of the broccoli, if you prefer kale, you could put some kale. You could even add some peppers if you want. So if you don't like the greens, maybe just make sure you've got some sort of vegetable, a good source of protein, some nuts, some fats, and a good source of carbohydrate.
So that's so different from, even for how we grew up, we would not have that. The eggs probably, but everything else, we wouldn't have that for breakfast. I agree with that. I love that. I've never tried broccoli for breakfast, but I think maybe I might implement that. So we've got boiled eggs, sourdough, smoked salmon, nuts, peppers, broccoli, kale. So that's a winner breakfast with full of protein, fiber. That's going to make you feel nourished and balance your blood sugars. Okay, absolutely. Amazing. So let's take the good stuff out and let's put in a terrible breakfast, or what you think is not a well-balanced breakfast.
Okay, so for me, the worst breakfast would be either cereal or
I think I have
got cereal here?
I have got cereal here somewhere.
Or even a sugar-laden granola.
Oh, cereal here. So cereal's not a good breakfast, no?
Cereal is not going to give you any protein, barely any fiber, and you're going to be hungry within an hour. Even a croissant with jam, awful. This is if you are going to eat this, if you are going to have, cereal, granola, or croissant jam, there's nothing, of course, enjoy these foods in moderation, but pair them with a protein. So if you were to have those, then perhaps you could put some eggs with it or have it with some Greek yogurt. Where's the Greek? I saw Greek yogurt.
Greek yogurts are good. Yeah, this one here. So
you could add some Greek yogurt,
some yogurt in.
but definitely on their own, they're going to spike your blood sugars, and you are going to be hungry very, very soon after.
Yeah.
So for children, especially, please don't. They're growing brains. They need to work hard. That you feed their brains with good things.
Yeah.
And I know you were saying you were surprised about the broccoli, but we're raising children who are watching and learning everything we're doing. So for my children, they think it's normal.
I love that.
to eat that.
Well, my son loves broccoli, so that's a winner for me.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So that's
really well.
good. I mean, I love broccoli as well. So these foods that you've said, these are going to gain weight if we have them consistently for breakfast. The cereals, the croissants. What about like white bread? Is that good or not good?
White bread is highly processed.
And again,
a lot of white bread is bleached. So
okay.
you want to avoid, these white things. But even making your own bagels takes 2 ingredients, and they literally take minutes to make. My daughter makes them all the time.
Wow.
And they're so simple. So once you start making these things, it becomes addictive actually.
Yeah.
And you realize how easy they are to make.
Amazing.
So, experiment at home.
Yeah.
Try different things and don't be scared.
Okay. So, what about porridge as well? I'm just interested in porridge. What would you say about porridge for breakfast?
Yeah, so porridge, I wouldn't eat just on its own.
Okay.
I would either add, so for me, I absolutely love porridge. I have to eat porridge every day, but I will add an organic scoop of protein, so organic protein to my porridge. To that, I'll also add some nuts or a tiny bit of nut butter and some berries. So like I said before, think about what you can add to make it more nourishing. There's nothing wrong with oats. A lot of people, say, oats spike your blood sugars. But if you've got it with the protein and everything else, it's going to keep
when you combine it,
fuller for longer.
And what about fruits for breakfast? So what about waking up and having a banana, like most people might do? If you're running for work, you might just grab a banana. What's that going to do to us in the morning?
So obviously fruits are amazing for us. They give us vitamins, minerals. They're a really good thing to eat, but a banana on its own, maybe add some nut butter to it, add some nuts to it, add some fat to it to slow down.
So banana
that.
on its own would just spike blood sugars, and that
a
could
little, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So it's good for like before you're running.
Yeah. Okay. So what about, let's just do a dinner plate now. So say I'm going to get ready for dinner. What would be your ideal dinner plate?
Okay. So should we do a desi dinner or should we
It's up to you. I've tried to put a variety in, so let's see.
Okay, so let's put, so I'm going to put chapati because this is homemade. So we'll start with a lentil soup.
Okay.
So lentil soup is fantastic because it's going to give you that fiber and protein, and it's going to provide a mesh for your gut. So whatever you eat after, it's going to slow down the absorption of those sugars. So a lentil soup is fantastic, and it's going to fill you up a bit more as well, or bone broth, which is also amazing.
Okay.
Then let's go for a chapati. And I think I saw somewhere there was chicken curry. Chicken curry, there's nothing wrong with chicken curry.
So homemade chicken curry is fine, good.
Absolutely,
yeah?
just all natural ingredients. And our food, like Indian food, is absolutely amazing for our gut, our health, because it's full of...
Don't tell me that. My mom's going to make me like... If she hears this, she's going to be like, right, are you going to make those roti?
She will be hearing this. It's honestly,
out.
it's amazing because it's got turmeric, it's got cumin, it's got coriander, it's all got all.
What
these
about what you fry it in, like butter and like what would you cook it in?
So I cook in ghee,
ghee,
olive oil. So make sure it's cold pressed and organic if you can, and from one source rather than lots of different areas. So as long as you're reducing, not using a lot of oil, it's fantastic because it's got lots of onions. You can add some vegetables in there.
Okay.
So that's a really good one.
Vegetables, so we could have just some vegetables on the side. So that's a nice, well balanced
and then
meal.
If you wanted, some steamed vegetables with that, or some like warm salad.
Okay. And then let's finish off with just like a terrible dinner. Like what dinner would you be like, this is just going to gain the weight, going to make you sluggish, increase the cortisol, do all those things we don't want?
Okay, so a burger is going to cause havoc to your gut health.
What about homemade burger though?
So homemade burgers are fantastic.
Okay, so this is more
So
like
this is
takeout.
not, this is like a processed burger.
Okay.
If you're making your own, minced burger, is brilliant. And actually, if you want to reduce the calorie intake, you could have a lettuce wrap instead of 2 buns, or have 1 bun half rather than 2. If you want to reduce your calorie intake. Then if you've got some fried chips, because you've got the oil is then, it's processed and it's been fried in that.
So if somebody likes their burgers and chips and that they're struggling to change that, could we make a homemade burger? So you like you said, fresh meat or chicken, and then the chips. What about like fresh potatoes cut up and like in an air fryer? How would that be a better option?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I would. So I regularly make my own wedges. I add some herbs to, some dried rosemary or thyme. So you're adding some spices for your gut health.
Yes.
You can add some olive oil, which is fantastic for you. Put it in the oven. And it's so delicious. So
Amazing.
You haven't got the deep frying, you haven't got the process. You cut it up all yourself.
Yes.
Mix some.
So it's those frozen bags of chips you get in the freezer. Those are the ones we need to not stay away from.
Yeah, I mean, they're occasionally, if you want to have that, it's fine. But on the whole, it's having those potatoes, your sweet potatoes, purple potatoes are absolutely amazing if you can get hold of them.
Okay.
And white potatoes, mix them up, and you're good to go. Add some salad with that, add some salad or
I love how you're still trying to make the bad meal positive. I love that. You're like, you're so positive. Okay, great. That's really, really helpful. So Farzana, if someone just takes one thing away from this conversation, what should it be?
So if I were to advise a woman starting out on her health journey, I would say definitely simplify things. Go back to basics. Choose one thing to begin with to focus on. It could be, eating a savory, protein-rich breakfast. It could be starting your day half an hour earlier than when the kids wake up. Just one thing that really sets the tone for the day. It could be, just starting walking, going outside. Walking is so good for your mental health. It lowers cortisol. It strengthens your bones. It's just absolutely fantastic. And anyone who follows me will know that, walking is my thing. I absolutely love walking first thing in the morning. Choose one thing and then build on it. Okay. Don't overcomplicate things.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your final message to the woman listening who's struggling with weight loss?
To know that they're not broken. So you're not broken. Respect your body. And when your body is talking to you all the time, we're so lucky to be having signals all the time. And when we take the time to take a step back and listen and to truly understand our body, that's when, the changes start happening. So you're definitely not broken. Changes 100% can be made. Just, start with some calming techniques, box breathing, just calm your nervous system, and know that change can happen with the right support and nourishment.
I love that. And I think, you're such an inspiration. You've got 4 children. And like you said, the external factors, I've got 2, and never mind having 4, it's just chaos. But for someone like you who's, got 4 children and understands food and takes care of her body, you're living proof that anybody can do this. Any woman out there, no matter, if you have children, moving countries, having, a working husband, having a busy home, having lack of resources, being away from family, these factors don't have to come in the way of your weight loss journey. Like, you can do it.
Definitely. It's all about a lifestyle. So create your environment, create your lifestyle in order for yourself to live a better, healthier life, because there's no point living long and unhealthy. You want to live long and healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so for that. It's about having the good quality of life, isn't it? It's not, I know we're all going to die. I say this so many times, but it's about having that good quality of life, isn't it? So this conversation has been so interesting and so inspiring. So it's all about managing your stress levels before we even start our weight loss journey, having a variety of foods, having colourful foods, not over obsessing with calorie counting and diets. It's about a lifestyle change. And then it's okay to have a cheat sometimes as well. Yeah, that's such a good message. Farzana, thank you so much for your time today. It's been such an insightful and inspiring conversation. And I know it's going to help so many women. I know it's going to help me. I've learned so much from this. And thank you for just sharing your knowledge so generously.
No, thank you so much for having me. And I'm so inspired by you and your work. And I'm truly grateful to be here. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And to you listening, I hope this episode has given you the clarity and the reassurance around your weight loss needs and concerns. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share this with someone who might need to hear these conversations too. Next time, we will discuss something just as important: grief and how to cope with the loss of a loved one with expert guidance. Thank you for listening to the Health Diary podcast. I'll see you on the next episode.